Hello, Arkansas, and welcome to this week's edition of Arkansas Money Talk, brought to you by the team of Retire Path Wealth. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by the President of Wealth Management, Dale Colclasure, and co-founder, Mark Smalling. We've got a great show for you today. We are going to be talking all about the unique retirement planning needs that women face. So whether you yourself are a woman or you have a woman in your life who you love, you are not going to want to miss this important conversation. Dale, Mark, it's so good to be here with you, and I'm excited to have this conversation with both of you. How are you this week?
Doing great.
Yeah,
good.
It's good to be back with you this week.
Yes, well, thank you. Well, one of the things I want to highlight is I appreciate the fact that you guys want to have this conversation because this is a very male-dominated industry. I have been in it for over a decade, and I have talked with a lot of financial advisors who tend to shy away from the subject matter, or even worse yet, they tend to think, oh, we don't need to have this conversation because financial planning for women is not that different. Well, today we are here to share the news with you that, like it or not, fair or not, women do need to engage in more financial planning than men because of some of the unique challenges that we as women face. We're going to get into all that today and so much more, along with solutions for you. But we were talking before today's show. Share with our viewers the breakdown of how many clients you work with who are women.
Well, Kristen, it's very close to 70%. We actually work with a large hospital group, so we have a large number of nurses that we've worked with for years, and we've ended up so our clientele skews more towards women than men.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that, but it seems like you have a lot of folks that have kind of always been the do-it-yourselfer, or they've been with a single focused advisor through most of their life, and then all of a sudden they have a life-changing event, divorce, death of a spouse, and they become to realize that they really don't have an engagement with the financial professional they've been working with. That was really their husband's advisor. And so we have a lot of transition that works that way as well.
Yes, no, it makes a lot of sense. And you guys are both girl dads, right? So you have that going for you too, in the sense of you understand what it's like to work with women on multiple levels. And you bring a lot of wealth of experience to the table. And from my experience, you guys know this, our viewers may not. When I first started off in this industry, I was hired to travel nationwide to present specifically to women as a financial educator. And, from my own experience, it was awesome to get to be part of the solution to something that had been such a source of frustration for me. Right. I was single till I was 34. And when I had to try to figure all this stuff out on my own, it was very hard to know who to trust, who to go to, who to get the right information from. So I'm really glad that we're having this important conversation today.
Yes. Agreed.
All right, well, let's get to it. So as I mentioned, women have several unique challenges when it comes to financial planning. So we're going to go through each one of these in a little more detail. First on the list, there is a gender pay gap. So Mark, talk about this.
Yeah, women really only make about 82 cents on the dollar for what men do. So if we're not making as much, we're not saving as much in that regard. Right.
Over our lifetimes, unfortunately, that often leads to not as much retirement savings, not as much in Social Security either.
That's exactly right. So those things affect. And then we get into women are typically, like it or not, they end up being the caregiver, whether it's children or parents later on. Right. And so they end up having career gaps. So oftentimes we meet with people that have raised kids, so they were out of the workforce for 15 or 20 years, and then they got back in. So their Social Security benefits are not as much because of that. And then they haven't saved as much in their retirement plans.
Right. And so this time out of the workforce is interesting because, to your point, it's not just caring for children. It's often caring for aging parents, aging relatives. We're part of that sandwich generation. And so that's less time in the workforce, less money made, less retirement savings, less Social Security. I mean, it just kind of snowballs. Then on top of that, our lifespan is such that we are living longer than men. How many years on average?
5 to 6 years longer than men. So oftentimes, when we come in and we're running these income plans for folks and we're projecting these out, you have to take into account that if you're a woman, you're probably going to outlive your spouse by 5 to 6 years, if not more. And if there's an age gap, it will be more.
Right. And the longer we live, the longer our money has to last, but also the more there is the potential for needing health care and long-term care costs. Touch on that.
Yeah. Long-term care is one of those things that a lot of people don't address unless they've experienced it. So we have people that come to our office every day and we ask them, is long-term care a concern to you? The ones that say no are really ones that haven't experienced it. If they've actually been in the middle of taking care of parents or they've seen a sibling go through that, then they're usually interested because the cost can be massive. Mm-hmm. I mean, and your Medicare is not going to cover it. And your income streams in most cases will not cover the huge expenditure of long-term care.
Well, not only that, Kristen, it seems to be a gender-specific concern as well. As Mark's mentioned, typically it is the wife of the household that's the one that's been having to take care of the parents. And so many times the husband will brush the issue off and the wife's like, no, this is it. So what I'm going to tell you out there, ladies, is speak up.
For sure. Yeah. And you've seen this firsthand. As you mentioned, you work with a lot of single women, but you also have worked with a lot of married couples that then one spouse has passed away or there's been an unexpected divorce and women have come in and they've turned to you all. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you find women often have about their financial futures or about financial planning, retirement planning in general?
Well, just as in a general basis, we've already touched here is that typically the male of the household is the one that's making more money, probably has more money saved in a retirement plan themselves specifically. And so many times we're focusing on, hey, the man to take care of these things. And many times, even with, I've seen some of the best details you've ever seen laid out of here's exactly what you need to do if XYZ happens to me. But there's so many things that are not thought about. As Mark mentioned already, it's the idea of that carryover afterwards. The year that a spouse passes away is the last year I file as married filing jointly. My taxes are going to go up next year. We probably need to do some tax planning. The challenge is that person is probably grieving at that point, and it's a difficult conversation to have, not just with that, but now with estate planning is how do things change. That's what's so imperative that we have these conversations beforehand.
Right.
And that both people step up into the conversation. I hear it so many times, oh, he's always taking care of that. It says, yes, but at some point you're going to have to. We want to make sure you're prepared when we get to those points. Also, I would hope the spouse that has been the one that's taking care of all these is planning to set that remaining spouse up for success by making sure they have either the knowledge that they need in advance or someone that they're confident is going to help take care of them when they have to make those decisions on their own.
For sure. I want to dig a little deeper into what you were just explaining, which is something that is known as the widow's penalty.
Yes, ma'am.
In case our viewers missed this important piece of information, can you just define what that widow's penalty is?
Yeah, let's just quantitate it really quick. I mean, in the year of 2025, if I'm 65 years old and older, and so is my spouse, if we're married filing jointly, we have roughly the opportunity for about $140,000 of taxable income to stay in what we consider the lower end of the tax scale. Okay, that's the top of the 12% income tax bracket. The January 1st, the year following my spouse's death, that number cuts in half. So roughly by default, I have the opportunity for my tax liability to double. If I haven't planned in advance for that, that can be a substantial, not just decrease in my own net spendable income as the surviving spouse, but it's going to then start to eat away at the assets that I'm planning to leave to the next generation as well.
Right.
So it's one of those reasons that Roth conversion conversation should be had earlier. Tax planning should be had earlier, especially if I'm like 82% of the rest of the population out there. 90% of my retirement assets are on a qualified plan.
Meaning that you have not paid tax on that money yet and you are qualified to do so. Also, I would add the compounding effect of when one spouse passes away, you're going to lose one of the Social Security checks. The good news is you get to keep the higher of the two, but it's that double whammy. Now you have less income coming in, but you're going to be taxed on more of it because of the tax brackets. Also, your Medicare could be affected, right, Mark?
That's absolutely correct. I mean, so if you reach certain thresholds, you can actually end up with a higher Medicare premium because if your income stays the same, that threshold gets cut in half just like the tax brackets do. So you could end up with income-related adjustment amounts that that could cause your Medicare premiums to be much higher.
And all of that was done with appropriate income planning to make sure the spouse had enough money.
Right.
Yes.
Unintended consequences.
Yes.
And so it's not looking at the entire picture whenever we do this type of planning.
And this is why you have to, and I know you've done a great job of setting up, okay, these are the unique challenges that women face. I mean, all people face when they become single, but especially for women, because we are living in longer, we're tending to outlive our spouses. So how can starting this financial planning process early help change that outcome?
Well, by being totally comprehensive in the process, by looking at all of my sources of income, looking at all of the assets that I have to work with, and then addressing probably what are really the harder conversations to have out there. What is my longevity likelihood compared to that of my spouse, and having real conversations about those kind of things. Many times when we ask, people about how much money do you need and how long do you plan to live, they kind of jokingly begin to address these situations. We hear it all the time. So, well, you guys are planning until 92. I'll never get there. And then the wife reminds them, well, your mother's 94 now. So there's a high probability. But I would say that is the biggest issue. And that is one of the major downfalls of our industry, is so many times the entire retirement planning process is focused simply on asset accumulation. And that's it.
Right.
No taxes, no healthcare planning, no estate planning, no any other issues, is because all that stuff will just work itself out because, as people like to say all the time, they just are what they are.
Yeah.
But the point is that you can be proactive, you can get in front of this. This is why you all offer this complimentary written income plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Remind our viewers what they're going to receive when they call in and connect with you today.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Appreciate it. Yes, folks. So if you have any of these issues, and again, that means there's a woman in the household. Again, the focus that we're talking about here today is we want you to pick up the phone, scan that QR code. Let's get started with the process. Let's grab the current information that you have in place. Let's find out, get together and figure out what your goals are. What are those things that you're wanting to address so that we can begin to alleviate uncertainty in the future. Also to uncover those, gosh, I didn't know that moments that exist.
Wonderful. I know we've got a lot more to get to, but Dale, Mark, thank you so much. And stay with us. We're going to provide some more solutions for you as we go on throughout today's show, talking about the unique retirement planning needs that women face. But if this is resonating with you, if you would like help putting together your full financial plan, we encourage you to reach out to Dale and Mark and the team of Retire Path Wealth and schedule your complimentary written income plan. 866-724-3893 is the number to call to claim yours, or you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Don't go anywhere. We're going to discuss specific strategies for women with their financial planning needs right after this.
We take the planning seriously. We run all the numbers, gather all the information.
I mean, I've heard of firms calling 70% outcome, goal achievement. Hey, we're there. Well, when I went to school, a 70 was a C-. That's not how I want to walk into retirement.
Everything we do from a planning perspective at Retire Path, we take the fiduciary responsibility, not just with the finances, but with everything, trying to put you in the best place possible for yourself. A successful retirement to me is not having worries about where dollars are coming from or about your health coverage.
Tax code's going to change. Medicare is going to change. Social Security, it's going to change, folks. You want somebody that's going to understand how those changes affect everything else as you move along. That may be great general advice, but it has nothing to do with your personal situation.
I mean, to literally see people come in the office that are scared and there's a lot of trepidation, and having them leave with that weight lifted off of their shoulders.
Let's get your data in, allow us to analyze your situation, and see if we can be a valuable partner in your financial life.
Making sure that everyone that comes in to our office leaves feeling like they've received something of value from us. Retire Path is a unique place because we built it from scratch.
Welcome back to Arkansas Money Talk. I'm Kristen Oakley here with both Dale and Mark from Retire Path Wealth, and we're so glad that you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, we are having a very important conversation about the unique retirement planning needs that women face. And again, whether you yourself are a woman or you have a woman in your life who you love, this information is so valuable to make sure that she is set up for success and empowered to retire securely. You guys did such a great job earlier in the show laying out all the reasons why financial planning is just different for women. It just is, right? We have some unique challenges. So let's talk about strategies now because we want to provide solutions. What would you say is the first step for someone who might be watching right now, who might be a woman who's feeling overwhelmed by everything that goes into building a comprehensive, holistic financial plan?
Well, Kristen, first off, we just want to start with kind of getting a really clear picture of where they are. Most people don't have a clear picture of that. So we want to look at their finances that they have, their expenses, their income, their debt. Most people don't know what they spend a month. We'll go through and we'll ask, so what do you need showing up after tax every month to make ends meet to live the way you want to? Most people have no clue. So, what we usually tell people, well, if you'll go back, if you've got one account, one bank account, one credit card, whatever it is that you pay things through every month, if you'll go back and look at that over a 6 to 12 month period and actually take an average of that, that's a pretty good indicator of what you're spending and what you need. And then, we're going to try to put a plan together, around that. We also know that emergencies come up, that you may want to travel. Most of our clients, once they get to retirement age, they've got travel plans. They want to go places. So we're going to need to have extra money show up in their budget.
Right.
So we want to plan for all of those things and really take that into account. But really, it's just getting that clear picture to get started.
For sure.
And Kristen, many times that clear picture is kind of we've already addressed. A lot of the saving has been maybe done by the male spouse, is to make sure you have a good handle on where those accounts are, what the passwords are.
Yes.
Make sure you know what the beneficiaries are. And again, we're going to address that a little bit later. But there's a lot of details that we have a tendency to overlook while we're working our way through the accumulation phase that become extremely important when we get to the distribution and the estate phase.
For sure. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and also the other thing that a lot of people overlook is emergency funds. People come in and go, so what do we have as an emergency fund? I've got $1,000 in the savings account or $500 in the checking account. That's not an emergency fund. We're talking 3, 6, 12 months, depending on your comfort level with what you need to have in your account.
Yes, and most Americans, unfortunately, the majority have less than $1,000 in their quote unquote emergency fund. So we're on a mission to help change
That's
that, right?
exactly right.
For sure. I'm curious, before we dive back into strategies specifically for women, and again, a lot of these strategies work for both genders clearly, but we're focusing the conversation on women today. I do want to just highlight, you help married couples through this getting on the same page, because typically, and it could be the woman, it could be the man, one person in the relationship has been more the financial planning person than the other, right? So how do you help married couples get on the same page so that when one spouse does pass away, they're prepared?
Well, it's really just having that conversation and it's addressing that issue specifically so that we can align what their roles are today. Because as you mentioned many times, it's, he made the money and I'm the one that spends it all. Great. So you now understand what cash flow needs look like. And then that spouse thinks those are going to be the things that are going to continue. That's probably one of the better outcomes. One of the worst one is typically when the husband has been the one that's earned the money and saved the money and set up all the planning and not really involved the spouse.
Right.
I can remember very specifically one of the first appointments I ever had in this business, almost 30 years ago. We're sitting down at a table with a couple. They've just completed this extensive estate plan with this well-known this law firm in Little Rock. And we come to find out, not only did they probably get overcharged, but the trust didn't even get funded. Again, whole nother topic for another day, folks. But the idea is, so there's really no estate plan in place.
Right.
There's no longevity for income because this is a farming family. So without the farmer, there's probably not a whole lot of income coming in because she doesn't know anything about planning the farm.
Right.
And I can remember specifically looking at the wife and saying, ma'am, do you understand what we're talking about? And there's just this glazed over look. And I think that's when the imperativeness to me came that how important this topic is to making sure that we understand this across the spectrum of the family.
Right.
Because at some point, there's a high likelihood she's going to have to make these decisions.
Right. And you don't want to find out whether the plan that was in place is going to work or not once you're on your own, right?
You don't want to find out what you don't know.
Exactly.
When it's imperative that you knew it. For
sure.
So, folks, what I'll tell you out here today is if you're thinking you may possibly be in this situation where you don't know what all the I's and the I's to dot and the T's to cross, or maybe you're even in a spot where we haven't even started this process, please, right this moment, pick up the phone, scan the QR code. Let's get the process started. Let's get you into your own system of developing your retire path so we can help make sure not only we take care of you, your family, your spouse, at all points of life, but also to make sure those assets pass along to possibly the other females, your next generation in the family as well.
Wonderful. Dale, Mark, thank you so much. To our viewers at home, that number to call to claim your complimentary written income plan is 866-724-3893. Or again, if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. We'll be back with more right after this.
Think estate planning mistakes only happen to celebrities? Well, think again. Prince, Aretha Franklin, and even Ted Williams all left behind estates without a proper plan, leading to years of legal disputes and financial losses for their families. But these mistakes aren't just for the rich and famous. Without a solid estate plan, your assets could be tied up in probate, subject to extremely high taxes, or even end up in the wrong hands. But there is good news. These mistakes are avoidable. A well-structured estate plan ensures that your assets go where you intend, with minimal hassle to your loved ones. Have you reviewed your plan recently? Do you know how tax laws impact your estate? Contact us now to see how we can help. Don't let your legacy become another cautionary tale.
Did you know your retirement isn't entirely yours? That's right. Your 401k, IRA, or pension is actually shared with Uncle Sam, and when it's time to withdraw, he'll be waiting for his cut in taxes. Want to know how much you will owe? Use our easy tax calculator to find out. Just scan the QR code or visit retirepathtaxtest.com and get the answers in minutes.
Welcome back to Arkansas Money Talk, where today we've been having a very important conversation on the unique retirement planning needs that women face. And the three of us were just talking during the break. We might need to do a part two on this, right? There's so much to get to in this subject. It's amazing once you start peeling back the layers, how much goes into financial planning specifically for women. I want to make sure on this show we do touch on the subject of Social Security, because this is something that really sets you and the team of Retire Path Wealth apart, that you engage in Social Security planning for your clients. How important of a role does Social Security play specifically for women with their different claiming strategies that are available to them?
Well, Kristen, that's a great question. It's something that we see impact people not only that we work with today, but when we've had people come into our office, especially women that are later on in their life that their husbands have passed away. The ones that we're seeing running out of money are the ones that took their Social Security benefits as early as possible. So they're taking them at age 62, and they didn't work, so they were relying on their husband's benefits. So they took a reduced amount of their husband's benefits because they took them early. And then there's also a lot of people don't realize there's certain strategies that women can use with, especially if they're a surviving spouse, where they can actually take their benefits off of their husband's benefits, allow theirs to accrue if they might be larger later, and switch over to those to a later date. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but the biggest impact we see is women taking them early.
Well, not just that, Kristen, because I don't want to take the fire, because obviously this is Mark's area, but the one that I just see happen all the time is even when you have married couples, especially if they're in a second marriage, where it's my money, his money, and you have a spouse that's simply trying to generate their own income because it's important to their self-worth or it's imperative, whatever, where they will more likely make these Social Security mistakes that Mark's just referring to because it's about, I'm paying my half and I need to generate my income as opposed to looking things holistically as, gosh, what happens if one of us is not here?
Yes.
And it's most likely to be him.
Right, for sure.
And that's the reason taking this into account in an overall income plan, which most people don't look at income plans. Most of the big box places out there don't talk about income planning. They're just talking about the investment side and not how all of this works together. And figuring out how it all works together for you and how it benefits you is the whole goal in this.
For sure. And not to go down a rabbit hole, but you mentioned second marriages. A lot of women are actually entitled to Social Security benefits off of an ex-spouse if they meet certain qualifications. And a lot of women have no idea that that's even an option, right? So you explore all that.
Yeah. So if you were married for 10 years and you didn't remarry till after age 60, you can actually choose which spouse you take it from, your ex-spouse or your current spouse, whichever one works in your favor. A lot of people ask me, well, does it affect his benefits or his new wife? Or they're going to find out about it? None of those things happen.
Right.
And we had one gentleman that had 3 women actually collecting benefits off of his Social Security benefit.
It's wild. So again, this is why it's so important to work with professionals, because if you go down the Social Security Administration, they can give you information, but they can't give you advice. They're not going to run all these different scenarios for you, but this is what you do for folks. Gosh, I know we only have a couple minutes left. I would love for you, as we wrap up this show, to share a little bit more in detail about specifically what you're able to do for women. Again, 70% of your clients are females. Talk about what you want to leave our viewers with as we wrap up today's important conversation. Most likely
the primary I want to just make sure we focus on today is there's so many things that people come into our office, especially in men or women, doesn't matter, and it's I know I have to do this at this particular age. That's what we know about Social Security, talking about it specifically. What they don't understand is that those are the general rules that don't apply if you fit into certain cases. Many times we've got people that are working past age 65. It was just this last week. And they're like, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to apply for this because I'm going to turn this certain age and I need to turn on this benefit. Because there's not a reduction. They don't look at everything together. So one of the main things I'm going to say is I'm going to focus back to that comprehensive financial planning thing, is we're going to look at the whole picture before we discuss solving each individual issue. Some of those individual issues are, over probably for the last 10 years, I've probably bought 3 or 4 cars for clients. We get female clients that come in and they're intimidated with the car buying process or with some other type of process like that, where we're able to step in and help assist with that. And so if you're out there today and you've had these discussions in your household, if you're a single female and you're wanting to figure out, gosh, what are the things that maybe I'm missing that as going into a solo retirement that I need to focus on? If maybe you've been widowed or you've been divorced and don't know what those answers are, please reach out to us and let us step in and help see what we can do.
Wonderful. Dale, Mark, thank you so much. We love you, Arkansas. Thank you so much for joining us today. We look forward to being back with you next time here on Arkansas Money Talk.